Last night while I lay thinking here, some what-ifs crawled inside my ear and pranced and partied all night long and sang their same old what-if song. What if I'm dumb in school? What if they've closed the swimming pool? What if I get beat up? What if there's poison in my cup? What if I start to cry? What if I get sick and die? What if I flunk that test? What if green hair grows on my chest? What if nobody likes me? What if a bolt of lightning strikes me? What if I don't grow taller? What if my head starts getting smaller? What if the fish won't bite? What if the wind tears up my kite? What if they start a war? What if my parents get divorced? What if the bus is late? What if my teeth don't grow in straight? What if I tear my pants? What if I never learn to dance? Everything seems well, and then the nighttime what-ifs strike again. Well, that, if you don't know, is a poem called What If by Shel Silverstein. Somebody my kids and I love to read, love his poetry. Some of the what-ifs in Shel's poem here would cause us to laugh. They're silly, they're childlike, and very obviously unlikely to happen, like your green hair. On the other hand, some of the what-ifs are totally serious and legitimate, like getting sick, dying, divorce, war, and suffering. Just like in the poem, if we allow the what-ifs to gain a lot of room in our minds, we'll always find plenty to worry about, especially at midnight. But still, we might say the world is really kind of a mess right now. Have you seen how crazy things have gotten? In fact, there's way more to worry about than our minds can even handle, like this child in the poem. It doesn't take any imagination these days to get caught up in the what-ifs. And in our gospel lesson, Jesus identifies a worrier, somebody caught up with the what-ifs that many of us can seriously relate to. Martha. In Martha's worry, Jesus stops her and says to her, Martha, Martha. See how he has to get her attention? He has to say her name multiple times. That's the same way I get my kids' attention at home. Then he says, you are worried and distracted by many things. But I can just as easily hear Jesus saying to me what he did to her, Rebecca, Rebecca, you are worried and distracted by many things, because it's true. I am. I worry about a lot of things. I have so much weighing on my mind on any given day, it seems like. Our world, for instance, our water supplies, our oceans, our wildlife and extinctions, the rainforest, the climate, our government, safety in schools and in public, mass shootings, racism, violence, the rise of white supremacy, the national debt, the refugee crisis, COVID, another pandemic, division in our nation, human rights, extreme poverty. Not to mention worries at the more local level, like just worries for our church and our members, or my kids and our family. In truth, we have a lot we can or could be worried about. There's a lot of concerning things going on in our world. So I'm not going to tell you there isn't anything to worry about. Not. But I also know that too much worry can be crippling and have detrimental effects. In fact, the English word worry comes from an old German word, Wurgen. Wurgen originally meant to strangle or to constrict. Literally, to prevent someone from getting air and breathing. Worry has come to mean in our minds more mental distress about something impending, But worry, like its origin, can have still that effect of constricting and strangling us in our daily lives. With so many legitimate things to worry about, we have to wonder, what is the antidote to our worries? And I believe Jesus offers us an alternative to that kind of endless worry. Because Jesus says in this text, he says, there is need of only one thing. And that one thing he's referring to in the story is what Mary has chosen to do. She has sat at Jesus' feet and is just listening to Jesus' words. To sit at one's feet at that time equaled discipleship. Mary was practicing her discipleship of Jesus by simply being present. And I think Jesus sounds a little bit like some kind of Buddhist master when he uses that phrase. There is need of only one thing. The practice of being present to the here and now, of having a mindfulness that is not distracted or busy or hurried or worried, but focused on the present, is a teaching we find in religions and all forms of meditation, including in Christian centering prayer. Mary chose to sit still in the moment at the feet of her master, Jesus. She is present to him. She is present to what he's saying and to his teachings. We too are called to the one thing. We need to stop, to put aside our many tasks and distractions and each and every worry, even if only for a little while, and instead sit at Jesus' feet. Hear what Jesus is saying to us. As followers of Jesus, we are called to spend time with God regularly, every day. And if we can't manage that, we should start by trying it at least a few times a week and work our way up. To pray, to read some scripture, or maybe a devotional or holy book. To come to worship, to commune with Christ in the Eucharist, to be present to God and God's presence regularly. Jesus is here in our midst. Jesus is in the bread and the wine. Jesus is in the church. Jesus is in our homes. Jesus is in the scriptures. Jesus is in our places of work. Jesus is in our yard. Jesus is everywhere we go. Just waiting for us to stop what we're doing like busy Martha and to sit down at his feet, to just be with him. I was looking at all these incredible images that have come back from the new James Webb telescope this week. I'm sure many of you have. And was just struck, right? In seeing the thousands of galaxies in our universe, looking out at light that has been captured from over 13 billion years ago. I was in awe and also felt insignificant, wondering how is it that God cares about little old us over here on this one tiny little planet in this one little galaxy, like that picture of the pale blue dot. But then I recalled, of course, that God, the one who made us and all this vast expanse of interstellar space, also sent Jesus to us, God incarnate, to show us just how much we are loved and cared about by our Creator, to remind us that we matter to God, that God shows up for us. Maybe we could show up for God? Because God's here. God is present. I had a wonderful week. I always do, with children from Vacation Bible School. And I was reminded of a previous Vacation Bible School that I had. when I was rector of St. Albans. On that very last day of Vacation Bible School, I had placed a large Jesus doll that I was given charge of temporarily by the diocese. I think Jesus was making his rounds, this doll, through the churches. And I put Jesus on the corner of the baptismal font. When the children came in for worship, I asked them if they'd noticed anything different. One boy, little boy named Caesar, raised his hand and said, "Jesus is here," and of course pointed to the Jesus at the baptismal font. And so then I asked the kids, I said, yeah. And I said to them, "Is this the first time Jesus has been with us this week?" And there was this pause from the children, and then suddenly they all burst out at the same time as if they'd all been enlightened in the same moment. "No, Jesus has been with us all week." Out of the mouths of babes. And the kids and I talked about the fact that, Jesus He's always here. We just don't always see or remember that beautiful reality. Jesus is with us today. God is with you wherever you go, wherever you are at this very moment. It's been said that when Joan of Arc was questioned about how she knew whether the voice of God she claimed to hear was merely a voice in her head or was God's, she responded by saying, "Well, how else do you think God talks to us?" We may have to listen for the still small voice of God, but we aren't going to hear that voice if we don't let go of our worries long enough to stop and sit and listen and be present. The world is really messy. We face real dangers. And I wish it were different. But dwelling too much on the what ifs and worries can really get us stuck. So while, of course, we must act and plan ahead and be responsible people, we can do that in faith, trusting that no matter what happens, God is with us and will help us through it, knowing that Jesus is right here now today. We can say, like the psalmist dared to say, "We do not fear when the earth shakes and the mountains tumble into the depths of the sea. God is our strong refuge." We are worried and distracted by many things. The worry threatens to strangle us. But there really is need of only one thing. And we can choose the better part and sit at Jesus' feet alongside Mary and let go of the what ifs. Thanks be to God.